Okay, so let's just summarize what we. Well, I won't talk too much about these ones here because we have. I didn't. I think I made a video on that last lesson, but uh, just to briefly go over it. Basically, this guy can see using echolocation. These eyes are not real, and so he clicks, and the click bounces off, and he hears the echo, and he can work out where he is and where things are. Um, this person, this is what we were talking about a little bit more just now. He uses something called BrainPort. Now let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. Basically, what he has is this kind of thing. This is about the size. You can see roughly from the hand here, roughly how big this thing is. It's about, I think it's about the size of a postage stamp, and that's placed on his tongue, or her tongue in this case. And they have many of these little circles here. Now, these circles are electrodes. I think this must have moved around. Hang on a second. Um, so, what they do is, let's move it. There we go. That's better. What they do is they create a little sort of tingling sensation. Technically, it's a very, very, very mild electric shock, but it's not unpleasant. It's just a slight tingling sensation. And you can have, let's say that just for the color, I've said that is high intensity, that's medium intensity, that's low intensity. And if it's not colored in at all, it's not making any tingling sensation at all. So this would suggest that in the center here, there's a couple of electrodes which are tingling at a high sensation, and around it we've got a medium sensation, and around that there's low sensation. That can be thought of in terms of a sort of a light. In fact, it would be a light. So the thing is connected to a camera, which is here, and if there was a little bit of bright light, then that might in the center of the image that the camera is seeing, then that would correspond to a high intensity tingling, and the medium bit of light would be the medium tingling, and the low intensity light would be the low intensity tingling, right? So, um, so the that how would that help the person to see? Well, let's look at this picture of a sphere here. Well, we can see that we look at this ball, this sphere, and we see this is a sphere. Well, now actually, this is a two-dimensional image, but we only ever actually see in two dimensions. But we have one eye that sees a two-dimensional image, and there's another eye that sees a two-dimensional image. But either way, we are able to interpret it as a 3D object. But what we're doing automatically, without really even choosing to, is looking at the different shades of white and grey and black, and interpreting that as a 3D object. It's all automatic, so automatic that we couldn't not see a ball if we wanted to. Um, and this is basically what you would have to learn to do if you had this bit of technology on your tongue. Now, and we use the kind of idea of a pin sculpture to kind of try to understand it ourselves. So just yes, and we talked about this as an example, that this is just to sort of highlight some of the aspects of seeing in quotation marks. So it's kind of happening inside your brain. You could just call it is image processing if you like, but really it can fall underneath the umbrella of the concept of seeing. We see this sphere here, and we think that's accurately drawn, but subconsciously, what we're realizing is that if it's light here, there must be, if it's whiter here, then the light source must be over here, and therefore the shadow is drawn in the right place. If the shadow was drawn over on this side, we would look at the picture and something wouldn't seem right, and we would have to think about it to work out what wasn't right. But the subconscious was able to identify it wasn't right in the first place. So there's stuff happening beneath our conscious awareness in our brain when we are processing images that we're not fully aware of when it's happening. So So we talked about we to highlight that sort of that idea of how things are done automatically without us having any choice about the matter. We use this illusion here as an example. So let's have a quick look at it again now. Um, okay, let's just move that there. So when I press play, we're going to see a rotating mask. Um, I'll just mute it. And the key thing is that at some point we're going to be seeing the inside of the mask because the mask is hollow. But even though we know it's the inside, we will not be able to see it as an inside. That's the outside. So that looks like the outside of a mask. I'm just going to pause it. When we start to see the inside, we know it's going to be the inside. But because we're so good at seeing faces, particularly, that's one of the things we're particularly good at seeing, we don't seem to have any choice about what would happen if we saw an inverted face, which is what this is. So we watch it carefully, and weirdly, it just looks like a regular face. It looks weird. We can tell something's a bit off, but it seems pretty much impossible to not see a face that's looking outwards. So let's see that one more time. That's the outside of the face. That's the outside of the mask, and here's the inside. And it looks like it looks in a way that it's rotating the opposite direction, but something is off, and we just don't seem to be able to be able to turn off that ability to see a face pointing outwards. So the other example I gave of skills that we have that we can't not do is understanding our native language. So our native language in this case we're talking is English, and you are, as you're listening to me say all these words, you're helplessly understanding everything that I'm saying. You can't, even if you don't understand the concepts and ideas, you understand the sentence that I'm saying, you know what words I'm saying, and you have no choice but to hear and understand and process those words because you're so good at it, you can't not do it. So this all links with how we see. We don't just see the different shades, but we process it and we categorize and we sort things out. So we have concepts for shapes and objects and colors and so on, and we just don't have any choice about the matter. We are helplessly just seeing them and understanding them.